So I'm at it again. I'm using old kitchen scraps to put into the garden as we prepare for this 2025 growing season. So, here recently we've actually gotten some surprisingly spring like weather, like even got to almost 80 degrees, but now it's kind of starting to drop again, um, and get to more of wintry ish weather again. But anyway, it just kind of made me think about how we really had to be intentional about getting this garden ready. I'm typically supposed to be feeding soil here at in our garden beds between the months of October and January. So I'm a little late, but it's all good. It's all good. We're gonna make it happen. But anyhow, so and I've talked about this before in previous videos, but basically, we take all the scraps, almost all of the scraps from like cooking, to just add to like a trash can, like a specific trash can out in the backyard, a galvanized steel trash can. And sometimes, like even now, that trash can is actually quite full, and so I'm just adding some of these extra scraps directly to the garden. So this includes eggshells, includes various vegetable and fruit scraps, stuff like banana peels, lettuce scraps and stuff, and stems, and scraps from onions, and even stuff that maybe was in the fridge that kind of went limp, like a celery, or started to mold, or different kind of things like that that are vegetables and fruits. Typically, we avoid stuff that has seeds in it, but sometimes I don't really worry about it because they won't tend to necessarily even grow. Um, you know, but anyhow, so that stuff, and then uh, coffee grounds and coffee filters, because as long as the filters are brown, then it means they're not bleached and all that kind of stuff. So we'll add that stuff too. And the key has been to actually bury the stuff where something else can't get to it. Now, you'll think all these years of gardening that I would learn my lesson, but I actually buried some stuff in one of our planters here recently, and sure enough, I believe the chickens were suspicious of that particular planter and went in and dug some stuff out, because they'll go and get whatever kind of scraps they want as well, because they actually like eggshells a lot and stuff like that. And so they went in and kind of like ate what they wanted to out of there. And another thing is like our local wildlife, which is like raccoons and possums and um whatever other stuff that's out there. Sometimes they'll kind of come and dig through things, so you kind of want to keep it inaccessible. So one thing I'm doing in this video here as well is covering this particular garden bed with some cloth. It's this cloth that we bought that was we bought a long, long time ago, and it's meant to kind of help to shield a garden from pests while still allowing sun to come through. Now, what I may do is cover this later with another layer, because I don't necessarily need sun to get to this garden bed yet, because what happens is, as you see in the garden, there's actually some weeds in here that I'm gonna have to come back later and pull out. I'm just not doing that yet. But if you actually cover your garden bed, you can smother some of those weeds, and they'll kind of save you some work. It also keep new weeds from growing, and so that's probably something I need to do. I don't really want to cover it with plastic, but if I want this to kind of work the same way, I'll probably have to double or triple layer it. You know what I mean? So that it actually does end up kind of sort of blocking the sun out and that kind of thing. So anyhow, I say all this to say, it's something I probably said before, and something I probably keep on saying, that the scraps from the vegetables and stuff that we consume should I don't think that should necessarily be thrown away because if you just think about it, all of this stuff comes from this earth that God created anyway. Now, I always will encourage you to, if you can buy stuff that's not sprayed with pesticides and stuff like that, like as much organic as possible, or at least clean it well. That's kind of like your best bet as far as like adding it back to the stuff that you grow. But even still, you know, this stuff is free fertilizer. And a lot of the way that stuff is typically grown is since it's grown in mass, a lot of times that means, you know, synthetic fertilizers that are like incomplete. That means that they only pay attention to the big three. Was it potassium, nitrogen, and phosphorus? But I think you and I both know intuitively that those aren't the only three nutrients found in plants. There's all kind of other stuff in there. So that stuff has to be replenished too. And one of the best ways to do that is through like organic material. And when I say organic material, I mean living material, you know, natural material. So anyhow, don't get rid of your scraps. This stuff is free fertilizer. And I surely am not going to throw the stuff away myself. So anyhow.